Xbox Game Pass. Here are 10 suggestions for the month of June. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. And if you are grabbing Xbox Game Pass, consider using the affiliate link in the video description as it takes you to the Microsoft Store and supports the content on the channel. So first up we have Amnesia the Bunker, a debuting new entry in the long-running Amnesia horror series, where there's scares, terror, and somebody forgetting what's happening or who they are or what's going on, and you have to figure that out over the course of the story. Or maybe you might succumb to the darkness that is all around you. It will continue to provide intrigue, mystery, and maybe the odd terror here or there, and you will try your best to survive and explore and finish the various puzzle elements that exist ahead of you as you try to make it in the bunker. This is Need for Speed Unbound, the most recent entry in the Need for Speed franchise. It's actually pretty solid. So this is a current gen only title that provides intense racing, whether you're doing that during the day, during night, and it has this like sort of strange cartoon-esque aesthetic. I think they were trying to connect with that younger audience, but there's actually a solid racing game underneath the coat of weird, strange coloring symbols and wings and stuff that pop up when you do things. I mean, I guess it's a bit of a flare, and you can adjust a little bit on how those are actually, showing up, but yeah, it's actually not a bad racing game. Fairly decent, it's got lots of content for you to enjoy, and they keep adding new chapters to kind of expand the scope of this one. So if you've got a need for speed, this is your kind of go-to, I would say, for now, for sure. This is Sword and Fairy Together Forever, or I guess it's also known as Sword and Fairy 7. It's the 7th kind of entry, or main entry, I guess you would say, in the franchise. And yeah, it is an interesting sort of diving into the particular I want to say folklore and or culture in regards to some of the monsters and the setting and the characters that are present here. It's actually kind of an intriguing franchise. It might be a bit on the difficult end, so if you do need to adjust difficulty, you definitely can keep that in mind. But yeah, it's sort of a flashy, particle effects driven sort of combat. It's got a really neat style to it, and again, because of the type of game this is, there's a heavy focus on narrative and then also a cool kind of smooth combative flair with a bunch of different creatures and environments and places you go. It's actually pretty expansive and a little wild too. Yeah, definitely a bit wild. This is Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, a remake of a classic Harvest Moon title. The Story of Seasons franchise is awesome because it's the nostalgia you love, with modern, updated improvements to the game across the experience, from visuals to characters to settings to just kind of what you go and do. But it is that classic style that you might have grown up with in regards to cutesy farming and living a wonderful life. Well, this one is Friends of Mineral Town, but you get what I mean. There's lots of events, there's lots of activities, time goes on, you do all this stuff, you work your farm, you kind of build it up, you improve stuff, you get animals, you might have a pet. It's kind of a fun, cute, easygoing farming game that you can spend countless hours playing. I mean, they're charming titles is what they are. They're great games. This is Bramble, the Mountain King. Now, this one is actually quite cool. I checked this out not too long ago, and it's actually a really interesting sort of fairy tale sort of driven. I mean, it's more aligned with the particular region and culture sort of story that it's telling, so a little bit more niche and focus there. But essentially, it is, as this young boy, you're sort of following after your sister, and then something dark and mysterious happens, and you need to try to, kind of get the courage to do that. There is a little bit of weird mystery and wonder and whimsicalness, and I do actually think aesthetically it looks really cool. And it's definitely indie in nature, but I think it's actually a really weird, different sort of cool game that I think you might enjoy and find to be rather intriguing as a distinct title. This is Arcade Paradise. So this is another really interesting option for a game to play, because you're essentially doing a simulator with a bit of fun, flair, and silliness. You're running an arcade, but you kind of build it up from the ground of like running this laundromat, so you have to like pick up trash and throw it out and get money, collect coins, do the laundry, you know, stuff like that, silly things. And then as you continue to earn money and build and expand, you get to do more and more arcade type stuff, and you can play the different arcade machines that you have, and as you kind of improve, you get access to more and more, you know, arcade games and mini games to play, because they're all like little mini throwback arcade games that you can play within this game, and you just gotta kind of like build your way up. It's got like humor and great music, and it's a really cool, quirky sort of game. I quite liked it. This is Slayers X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. So this one is really, really weird. I thought the best way to kind of show it off was to show off this just straight up bizarre opening cinematic. It's a throwback shooter, kind of like Doom or Quake, sort of, but like it's really ridiculous and silly. It's a very, very bizarre game, is like the best I could really describe it as. It's like a shooter, and it's just it's a weird one. It's very, very strange. I added this because it is just literally so insanely bizarre that I still don't really know what to make of it, which is wild. This is Dorjon. So this is a neat narrative kind of adventure in this like watercolor type world. It's like a world of watercolor. It's very interesting in its aesthetic and concept. You're trying to uncover sort of lost family secrets. There was something that happened, and your father cut off someone, you know, that I guess might have been close to you in the earlier days of your life, and you're kind of trying to figure that out. So you're out here in this like French countryside, and you are going to this house before everything is settled and closed, and you are going to dive into the past because something has been left for you. It's an interesting element of mystery, light input, more of a focus on narrative and the past and nostalgia, and it's a very aesthetically pleasing and very intriguing sort of concept for this type of game. This is Far World Pioneers. It's sort of like Terraria, is the best I could describe it, but you're kind of in a crashed sort of ship situation. You need to collect resources, you need to build, you need to scavenge, you need to explore, you need to deal with the hostilities of, like, I guess you would say space, and being on like a strange extraterrestrial planet that you've crashed on, and that's kind of the main concept here. But there's actually quite a bit of depth to the exploration, and I think if you are seeing this and you've played Terraria, like, I don't want to say they're sort of the exact same kind of game, obviously, but I just wanted to say, like, when I was playing it, the vibes I kind of got were like, okay, this is sort of along the lines of that. So I hope it kind of just gives you a little bit of context for how it kind of feels, as I do think the concept is very different. And this is Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. You literally will be a mechanic working on various cars and vehicles, like draining the fluids or fixing the engine, you know, tire swapping, pieces of the car swapping. You get jobs, you work as a mechanic. It's a simulator game. It's pretty self-explanatory, I would say. So if you're into being a car mechanic, it's kind of a cool concept. I actually think this is a pretty interesting idea for this type of sim game, because I know a lot of people love to do really intensive niche things, but I do think being a car mechanic is actually like a kind of popular concept, I would say. So anyways, those are 10 suggestions. Go take a look at them on Game Pass if you haven't. Liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well. And once more, if you are grabbing Game Pass, consider using that affiliate link, as it does support the content. And we will be back next month with another selection of Game Pass titles.